So we started running, leapfrogging. Eric wound up ahead. We were tired, misread an update that came through that said there was a detour. Didn't understand what the detour was. Usually it's a road closure or a bridge closure or something, and it sends you around it. Well, I saw signs for a bridge closure. I saw the detour, so we took it. That may have been the dumbest thing I did on the whole run. We went through the scenic detour. There was do it if you want to see it, through Monument Valley in the middle of the night. Saw nothing. Went 90 miles out of our way and let Eric really accelerate, and he was 2 hours ahead of us. Feeling beat and frustrated, we're looking for a place to sleep. That was when I hit the coyote, split him in half. Didn't do any damage to the bike that had already been done. Crashed in Iowa, hit a deer in Illinois. That coyote didn't even matter. We didn't know it, but Eric, 2 hours in front of us, was keeping on going because he was lit and he was ready. We slept in a Walmart parking lot, short 3 hours, got up and started running, and when we checked the tracker again, we were in front of Eric. I don't even know how that happened. Found out later what happened. Eric slammed into an 1,100-pound elk just in front of us. And that's where he laid, in the road, till the ambulance got him. Took him to the hospital, bandaged him up a little. Then he caught a cab back to where his bike was, called a tow truck, scooped it up, went to the Harley-Davidson dealership in Farmington, New Mexico, said, I'm gonna trade that one in on a bike. What you got in a Road Glide? Whipped out a credit card, bought himself a brand new Road Glide on a spot, took his equipment off of that one, put it on a new one, and came after us.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. Eric Pascal. He goes by the moniker COEB, Crazy One-Eyed Biker. There is a level of determination that is extreme, and then there is what Eric is capable of. Huge respect for this guy, but he came with a broken hand and road rash everywhere and all kinds of seriously banged up that he shouldn't have been riding, couldn't operate the controls of the bike, but he did to finish 8th.
Wow.
He should have been finished. There were 18 other people who had serious hospitalization accidents. Eric was one that should have been, but wasn't. Still finished 8th. Federico and I managed to stay together and kept rolling, knowing that there was no way to catch Billy, but somehow we managed to finish 3.5 hours behind Billy Foltz.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Tied for second.
Yeah. Very good.
The best I could have possibly hoped for. And then standing there at the finish line, elated and emotional and all kinds of stuff running through my head. And I said to the guy in front of me, I said, I don't know where he is. I don't know what he's up to, but I want to meet this guy, Billy Foltz. And he goes, I'm Billy. Nice to meet you. And he's about as good a guy as it gets. Hard, tough, Army veteran, very, very capable guy who did what I could not do. I couldn't do it well trained today as well as Billy Foltz did it. And he had his failures in the past too, where he came up short through all of his training and efforts, but this was his year. And he earned every bit of it. And he did better than any of us could have done. And just diminished the idea that we could catch him, because we couldn't. So
How many people were in the Hokey this year?
150 people registered.
Wow.
They opened it up, usually it's 100, but 150 people registered. Of that, 135 showed up to make the run. Stuff happens, some people don't. I don't know how many people finished this one, but I know a higher percentage finished this one than have ever finished before. Not because it was easier, but because who the people are who were running it. There was a crowd of very well vetted, very determined, very capable people who ran it this year. And they were the ones who managed to finish. But in those people who finished, there are 18 who went to the hospital with serious injuries, some of which are still not finished, recovering from what they got. There's one fella, unfortunately, who died as a result of his run. Unclear as to whether it was a medical issue that put him down or he died as a result of going down. But there was no clear reason why it happened. There were witnesses there that it happened to, but Joe Fink passed. And it's unfortunate. He was a hard competitor, very capable guy, and I remember him from my run in 2016.
So at what point did you hit something on the road, and that's when you had to put it back together?
First issue was Illinois, coming on a run that was along the river that was very, very, very hard to navigate, and we cleaned it. Just perfect navigation, never missed a turn, minimally marked signs, impossible directions, very, very hard. And we came through that clean, only to get into the dusk hour out of that section and on a little bit better roads, and that's when I cleaned the deer. 45 mile an hour, 110, 120 pound deer, stepped out in front of me and then started running. I went behind it, and the deer turned back around to pick up his wallet, I guess, and buried its head in my engine guard and wrapped all the way around me. Shattered the saddlebag and pulled the engine guard back up and jacked up the floorboard, and then bruised me from neck to knee. But I stayed on the bike and stayed upright. I was rattled, but shook it off, and I was going to be okay. I was not going to be okay, but I was determined I was going to be okay. Made it to Davenport, Iowa, rattled, tired, slept, woke up, felt good, and went at it again into a storm. Storms are unavoidable. You don't have control of the route. You don't have control of the weather. The only thing you have the option to do is pull over and wait, but there's no shelter. So here we are in the rain and the wind and getting beaten 9 ways to Sunday. And the only option is just keep going through it and hoping it'll end. You can't even check weather radar to see if it's going to end anytime soon. You don't know. But it's 30 to 50 knot winds, straight line winds, and they were manageable, variable but manageable, until I hit a big sweeping left-hand turn. And on a big sweeping left-hand turn up over an overpass, I got stood up. We've all felt it before, where the wind gets you and gets under your shoulder and leans you. And the bike simply, at 75 miles an hour, went off the road into a soft shoulder with a 30-foot drop off. And I leaned as hard as I could back on it, gave it as much throttle as I dared, and tried to correct it to drive back onto the road. And the back end got loose, slipped out, and I low-sided off of it. And I slid, tumbled a little bit, but I'm unhurt. My knee hurts, but that's from the deer. I'm not even scraped up. I'm wearing this gear, and my gear's not even destroyed. This is the same pair of pants. This is the same vest. It's scuffed, but I'm intact, and I can't believe it. And I jumped up as fast as I could possibly. I didn't even come to a full stop before I jumped up, and it started picking up my stuff out of the road. My gun, my gear, my stuff, my sleeping pad, my saddlebag. Saddlebag shattered and fell off. Other saddlebag broke. Tour pack ripped off the bike and bent. The bike slid, spun, tumbled, slid again, and tumbled again, and broke every corner of it. And it came to rest 250 feet away on the other side of the road. And then not long after I started collecting my stuff, a state trooper, a very helpful state trooper, came in and said, "What happened here?" And I said, "Just a little accident. Nothing to worry about here, folks. Nothing to see." And he said, "Can I help you with anything?" And I said, "Nope, I'm good. I'll be out of here quick." And he goes, "I'll control traffic until you can get it all cleaned up." But I already had everything out of the road, and I used what strapping and gear and stuff I had to put that broken saddlebag back on top, lost the lid, threw the other stuff away, put everything back together, and then rode to a bomb guard. Got 3 rolls of Gorilla Tape, put it back together, said I was going to be okay, and we took off. Amazing. That bike still ran. It didn't even hesitate on a start. It ran. I'm only 2 hours from Spirit Lake, Iowa. This was in Forest City. 2 hours. I got banged up pretty good. Somehow in my head, I thought I could roll this damaged bike into Spirit Lake. And like Santa's workshop, elves would come out and they would put parts on my bike that were broken and replace it and make me back to whole again in an hour.